Welcome to the Black Script Storytellers. My name is Kevin Marable, and today our guest is an actor, voice actor, and vocalist whose work has been making waves across anime, video games, and television. You've heard his commanding performances in fan favorite roles like Rocklock in My Hero Academia, KO in Valorant, Newcastle in Apex Legends, and Macaron in Hi-Fi Rush. His voice has powered everything from blockbuster game worlds to cinematic trailers, and his musical talent as a member of King's Return continues to showcase the different sides to his artistry. With a career defined by versatility, discipline, and an undeniable presence behind the mic, he is and remains one of the most dynamic voices working today. We have with us none other than Gabe Kunda. Gabe, thank you so much for joining.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I appreciate it. And I got to carry you around everywhere I go because it makes me feel it is a great boost to my energy. So I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I like to give people their flowers, man, and just
Thank
kind of
you.
showcase some of the things, some of the highlights that you've been able to accomplish. But
Mm.
you've done a lot, man. I did a little bit of research, and according to what I see online, 119 credits to your name.
Yeah, yeah, man.
That's
It's
crazy.
crazy. I typically I don't check all that stuff. I mean, I used to be like, just gonna count them. After a while, when you start doing it and you just you're grinding, and you're loving the art, you
Mhm.
look up and you're like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I've done quite a bit. It's definitely humbling for sure.
Yeah, no, that's amazing, man. And you've had a career roughly 13 to 14 years also. So
Roughly,
119
yeah.
credits in about 13 years or so, 13 plus years, let's just say.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Cause I've started professionally, like full time 2017.
Oh, okay. Okay,
But
got
there
it.
has been
Yeah,
years before that where I
I
was
saw,
kind of
right. I saw some things back in 2013, 2014-ish.
yeah, well, yeah, some things I know, like certain shows started around that time, and
Mhm.
sometimes when you join later on in the season, they say you started in the time that the
Oh,
show
I
started
see.
when you hadn't. 2013, I was still a senior in high school. You know, I was still doing that, and in 2014, I went to college, and that's when I really started my voice acting journey in terms of growing it. But 2017 is when things really started kicking off full time for me.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Well, Gabe, I like to start off every interview with a very simple question. Some
Yeah,
people might find it a little difficult to answer. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
That question is, who is Gabe Kunda?
Oof, it's a great question.
Mhm,
I see the difficulty there. You know, Gabe Kunda he's a musician. He
mhm,
loves the arts. He loves pretending,
mhm.
and creating worlds that haven't been created yet. Um, he loves jazz music. He loves
Mhm.
classical music. He loves to sing. He is also a pastor's kid. He's a PK. He's Congolese, so he comes from a very a big line of African heritage, and how the strength of that, and especially in our culture now, I think one of the things that I'm so excited about in terms of African culture being introduced into the States and stuff like this, Black Panther, how huge that is. And it's like,
Right.
yeah, we were really those people. It's really cool. And so there's that. And he is also a husband. He has dogs, he has a home, and he is all about giving back. And that's one of my biggest thing. I mean, I have a nonprofit organization called Leitmotif Foundation, which I really make it a goal for myself to, um, you know, instill what I've learned over many years, and try to teach kids that, hey, listen, you don't have to be a doctor or a lawyer or any of the things that people always tell you to do. Those little shiny stuff. Like, you can, whatever you want to be, do it, but be excellent at it.
Right.
And that's who he is in a nutshell, in the big nutshell.
Right. Now you said, doctor and lawyer is not shiny stuff, but what you do is shiny stuff too, man.
Oh man, I well, it yeah, it's I think especially for African, like if you're coming from an African background,
Mhm.
probably even it doesn't have to be African, but from my experience, voice acting is not on the top list of things you should be doing
Right.
Especially in high school, and they want you to get your grades well so you can go to a huge university, a 4-year college, and
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
can go and meet maybe the president one day or whatever. The only exception to that is if you become a basketball player.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you
the
know
athletics supersedes all of that, right?
All of it, bro. All of it. But and that's unfortunately it traps. I say traps, but it kind of creates a burden on kids who are just like, I don't really see myself in any of that. I see myself in the arts, in the creative space, and
Right.
whether that means creating music or drawing or being an actor, or an actress, or things that are kind of unconventional. That stuff is not always looked upon as like a career that can be made. And so I don't know. I think I tried to be a testimony, if you will, of the fact of like, listen, man, I use my voice for a living. That's what I do, which is
Right.
an
Right.
interesting thing. But it works.
Yeah, absolutely, man. What originally made you gravitate toward acting and voice acting as your creative
Mm.
path? Like, how did you get into the world of voice acting altogether?
Yeah, I got into it because in high school, I was a sophomore in high school, and I was, in school they got you reading paragraphs. Like you have to take turns. I mean, your classmate reads, and then he picks you to read a paragraph, and then you pick another student. And so I was also kind of a class clown. I was
Mhm.
just a distracted kid. I just didn't want to do any of the work. I wanted to kind of, be funny and silly. And I was thinking to myself, next time they pick me, I'm gonna do kind of a James Earl Jones type of read. Now,
Mm.
as a sophomore in high school, I do not have James Earl Jones pipes at all. But my voice was low enough where I could kind of give something of that, caliber or whatever. So I thought, and so I would just read paragraphs, and the classmates would be kind of like, "Oh, wait, that's funny, but also that's really good. Pick him every time." And the class, they will always pick me to read every
Yeah.
time in biology class. Anytime there's a passage, it was like, pick Gabe to read. And then my teacher at the end of the year was like, you know what, you should really think about doing the announcements for school. Like, you got a nice voice for being in radio. And I was like, I've
Yeah.
never thought about something like that. Um, okay, cool. I auditioned because the announcer for our school, we had an announcer for our school who was also actual voice actor, and he used to call a lot of games for the Mavericks, the Dallas Mavericks.
Wow.
He was also like a teacher at our school as well, and so he would do legit auditions for you to be the announcement to read the announcements for your school. And I was like, "Yo, can I throw my hat in the ring at the end of the year, and maybe next year we can do a thing?" And so he was like, "Sure." Kids don't typically come up to me asking me for an audition for anything. I just have to, you know, twist their arm to do it. And so
Mhm.
I came in there. I basically pretended as I did in that biology class and try to do a voice. And he was like, you know what? You're really good, actually. Let's
Mhm.
go ahead and put you on for next year. And so I had the summer to learn about what voiceover or whatever it was. So I went online, I searched up voice acting, I searched up announcing, and this video came up called $1,000,000 Voices, and it had Don LaFontaine. In that video, Don LaFontaine, he's a movie trailer voice actor, and you
Yes,
probably heard it on hundreds and hundreds and hundreds
I'm sure.
trailers. He's no longer, he passed in 2008, but that video changed my life. I was like, this is
Mhm.
what I want to do for a living
Mhm.
forever and ever. Amen.
Mhm.
And so that's what I did. I copied what I heard, and I came to school the next, after the summer was over, and I came in, welcome students to and they were like, whoa. And so that's kind of what kicked off my interest in this world. And I started
Right.
doing more research on voice acting. I heard about you had to make a demo, you had to get some
Mhm.
coaching, and all of those things transpired when I was in college.
Yeah. Now, how did you learn to develop your voice to where you're able to enunciate the way that most
Mm.
voice actors do? I assume that takes a lot of practice, a lot of research, a lot of studying, but a lot of the folks who do that,
Mm.
they all carry the same cadence, the same
Yeah.
style.
Yeah.
Um, some make it their own a little bit, but for the most part, it's like uniform.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think for me, because I'm also a musician,
Mhm.
and I did a lot of choir. I mean, I studied music education for my undergrad. the
Hmm.
idea of diction and precision and being able to be clear when you are singing is something that was already kind of in me. And I also did theater in high school as well and in college. And so I understood some of those, uh, being able to project and what type of styles you need to either sing or speak in. And so that part wasn't too hard for me to understand and to kind of navigate. I also have a really good ear for stuff like accents and like I said, more diction stuff or dialects and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
for me, it came a little, I would say, easier to me to be able to switch up and I think that's why I'm able to do so many various things, like whether it's like TV commercials or movie trailers or it's video games. There are people who typically they do one thing and they do that one thing really, really well.
Right.
And there are folks who kind of spread themselves around because they're able to. And so that's where I'm kind of, for me, for a long time, I told myself, I was like, I don't want to be boxed in because not because I want to be a master of all, but just because I enjoy everything. I want to be able to throw my in everything. So
Yeah.
definitely my upbringing in the music background and the acting, the theater stuff has helped me, and my stylistic approach, my diction, and all of those things. They definitely um, was a part of that.
Yeah, I can definitely see that, hear that within your tone, your voice, but as well as to your point with the music, you have to learn voice control or
Yeah.
breath control. I'm sorry, uh,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
a lot of breath control,
It's true.
and then adapting the theater. Everything that you've learned in theater, and when you combine everything together, it's like that perfect recipe for what it is that you do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And that's why I always tell people to I mean, you need to get some acting background. It would help you. It will help you kind of get those things out. And if you can take a speech, I took speech classes as well. I didn't mention that. I took a speech class because it was mandatory. but but I did that and that helped me being able to command a room, what that
Right.
looks like and sounds like,
Right.
being able to be clear. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I listening to you, I don't hear a lot of uhs and ahs and ums. Um,
Oh.
I would assume that a lot of that comes from speaking a lot, and also during the speaking class, speech class.
Yes.
Um, yeah, you pick up on how to, I guess, command, like you said, command the room, talk to people without you know jumping over your words or fumbling over your words.
Yeah,
Uh,
pacing yourself.
when you take on a new character, what's the first thing that you look for?
Oh, that's a good question.
Mm,
Um, when I take on a new character, the first thing I look for is the story. Like I want to know, where does this character live? Who is he related to? Is Where is he coming from?
mhm.
Um, what's happening? What is he looking forward to? Like those are the type of story is very important to me so that I can build my performances off of that thing. I know there are some people who are uh, voice first, and I
Mhm.
think that I used to be that way as well. Like I used to be like, okay, so what is this voice going to sound like?
Right.
And I've changed so much of that because it's like you can have an incredible sounding voice, and if you don't know what the story is, how to bring that character to life, it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? It's like it is literally like having a piano, an 88 keyboard piano from cut from the best ivory whatever. And if you don't know how to play it and make it sing, if there's no melody, there's no rhythm, it's
Right.
just a nice looking piano. And so the melody, the rhythm for me is the story. Like, what are we trying to tell here? Is he a monster? Okay, that's going to inform my voice, not my voice inform what the character is.
Mhm.
And so those types of things, that's the building block for me is like, what's the story here? What's the character? Who's the character? What's his name? Does he have kids? Does he
Mhm.
has things he fears? Those little intricacies, I think, is what I look for, and whether or not I can convey that, authentically.
Yeah. And how do you shift your performance to match the tone of each universe, from anime
Ooh,
to like gaming? How do you know what inflection and what tone
oh,
to
that's a
use?
good question, man. I think like they're different. They're so different. Like anime is not the same as like a video game like I would do for like Apex Legends or Call of Duty. They're in terms of like tone and how they work. And partially it's because with anime, everything is already drawn. Everything is already created and you are dubbing over what the Japanese have done. And
Right.
so it's tricky because you have a time frame. So you have flaps you have to go to. So what we hear in our cans when we see an anime show and we have to dub to that, we'll hear 3 beeps and then we record.
Mm.
Um, and oftentimes they'll play us the scene so we can hear it in Japanese and try to match the tone and inflection and the vibe of that scene. So it's kind of the roadmap is kind of already laid out. And every once in a while, we'll get our opportunity to kind of give our own take on the what's happening in the scene.
Mhm.
But for the most part, it's like it's already laid out for you. In
Yeah.
video games and animation and all that stuff, like that stuff hasn't been created yet. So your voice, what your performance is, really helps shape what happens in the scene.
Mhm.
So it's really understanding the mediums and how they're going to use it and then stepping into that. So and also consuming the content. I think a lot of folks some may not consume a lot of like video games or anime or whatever. So they just step up to the mic and they're like, I'm just gonna do what I do. And a lot of it's more so celebrities that do that because they just kind of like, they're just being themselves.
Right.
But it's consuming the content, understanding the worlds. I mean, like if I'm gonna play basketball, I'm definitely gonna watch a game or two. I'm definitely going to copy a couple some of the players. What have I seen? If I'm
Mhm.
got a game coming up, I want to see what happens. So it's important, or else you're going to be going in trying to play soccer while they're playing basketball, and you're like, "Was
Right.
I thought? Well, it's not the same game."
Yeah, completely blind, man.
Right, right.
Yeah, you definitely have to match that rhythm, and as far as being able to, match the the dubbing of the Japanese
Yes.
dubbing, do they show the captions below at all, so that way you know what's being said,
No,
when they're saying it in a certain tone, or do you kind of just go based off of what your ear pulls in?
yeah, so we have a director who helps us navigate. Hey, this scene is going to be like this. It's a more somber tone. This is the story. This is what's happening here. And then
Mhm,
what we see is 2 screens. We
mhm,
see the anime, and then we see the script. So what you're doing in real time is you're having to bounce back and forth
mm,
reading your script and watching to make sure you're doing lip flaps right. And I'll tell you, I call it kind of the Olympics of voice acting because it's very difficult, and you it's also hard to convey a specific emotion and so many lip flaps or so many seconds. Sometimes I'll give my best read on a thing and they're like, it has to be faster. you know, I'm like, what? I felt like that was like an Oscar money read
oh,
and it was too slow or it was too fast. But in animation, like I said, in animation and prelay animation, as we call it, like stuff that you see like SpongeBob,
right,
Barbie, whatever it could be, in prelay animation, we could take whatever time, I mean, within reason, however long we need it to be to create that emotion. We don't have to be stuck to a time frame per se. It's got to sound, obviously like you're having a conversation, but we have more lacks there than we do in the anime space. So
yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna shift gears just a little bit, talk about the audition uh, piece of this. How do you
yeah,
audition as a voice actor? How do you audition for roles like this?
yeah. So the way we audition is so I have an agent, and that agent receives casting sides from the studios
Mhm,
or a casting director. Um, that agent obviously has a lot of people, a lot of talent on their roster, and they really have to decide. Okay, so this is a female role, it's a male role, and
mhm,
this is going to be
mhm.
good for such and such actor. And so they're sending out auditions. And it's quite, I imagine it's quite intensive. I'm not never been an agent, but when I see the work that they do, it's kind of like, oh my God, if you have 50 characters, you have to be able to send the appropriate characters to the appropriate talent.
To each one, right?
And then sometimes dwindle it to a top 10, top 5 before you send it to a casting director. And then they got it. And ooh. So that's how that works. And so for me as a talent on that roster, I'm receiving the audition from my agent saying, hey, we have a character. Here's the age range. Here's the casting director. Here's the studio that's working on it. Here's an NDA.
Right.
Sign it, send it back before you send your audition. And I take a minute or two or 5 or 10, depending on how, how much time I have to look at everything. And then I have my microphone here in my setup, and I start recording, and I give my best takes for the audition.
Mm.
It's kind of similar to an on-camera audition, with the exception of you're not seeing my face. You're just getting an
Right.
MP3 of my voice.
Yeah.
We send it back to our agent, and that agent submits it on our behalf.
So it's kind of like a self tape, but in a sense, being that it's audio, it's like a demo tape.
Exactly. Yeah. No. And you can do 1 or 2 takes, 3 takes.
Mhm.
I'm of the mind of, like, for me, I do no more than 2 takes. I try to keep it really, because these casting directors and folks, they have little time to
Mhm.
listen to, three. Oh, my third take is the one that's like the one that's killing. It's like, well, put that third take first
Right.
and get rid of. Why are you giving me? And so it's one of those things you have to kind of play with. But yeah,
Mhm.
it's that's kind of how the cookie crumbles in the audition space.
Mhm. Now, is there a particular role that has ever challenged you, and what made it so demanding?
Ooh, I think a role for me, it was challenging in the sense of when it happened. So I voiced Newcastle in Apex Legends,
Mhm.
and I recorded that in 2021. The first session that I did for that was a day after my mom had passed. And
Oh,
it was if you've ever lost someone, I mean,
yeah.
you understand that feeling, but then to lose a parent, it's earth-shattering.
Mhm.
The thing for me is, I've always kind of buried myself in my work a bit, or I find at least solace and peace in doing my art and doing my craft. And
Mhm.
so I toyed a lot with, like, man, should I go into the session tomorrow? I mean, like, or should I postpone it? If I postponed it, the directors and the developers were going to be, like, completely understandable of the
Mhm.
situation. But for me, I was a lot of thinking about what my mom would want, and what would help me in that moment. And what I felt was to do the job, to go in and try to use this energy and whatever I was feeling into the performance, because there was some deep stuff in that first clip.
Mhm.
And so I showed up, and it was kind of a somber day, and the directors and the writers understood the situation. I was excited, but also obviously dealing with something really, really heavy, and I didn't want them to be like, "All right, Gabe, we're just gonna let you go," because again, I wanted to do this.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I got in there, I did the lines, and we got to a part where and I didn't know this, but the writers had written something in the script as kind of an homage to what I was going through. And I didn't know. I
Wow.
didn't know. And so we're going through the script, and then there comes a part in there where I talk about Newcastle's mom used to make some great velvet cake.
Mm.
Um, and I start doing the line, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is starting to hit a little stronger than what I thought. And in real time, I'm starting to tear up in the session,
Right.
and it just overwhelmed me
Mm.
with emotion. And it was at the end of the session, so I'm grateful. Um, but I think that was one of the hardest sessions for me. And it came out, I think, in the end beautifully.
Right.
And it sounded so, like, I think for me, that performance has never been so connected because it was real. Like, it came from a real place.
Mhm.
And that for me, that character means so much to me because of what the writers did for me, and what that meant in that time. And so
Mhm.
I love that, all things considering, there was a beautiful flower that blossomed from that very muddy time. And so yeah, that was, I think, one of the hardest things to kind of get through. And so Newcastle has a special place in my heart, and Apex Legends as a whole.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Absolutely, man. Being able to connect that emotion, and draw out the pain of what you're feeling and pour all of that into your character. That's what also ultimately makes people fall in love with the character, because they
Yeah.
can they can connect, and you don't always realize you're connecting on an emotional level. Sometimes you can hear within the tone, the emotion,
Yes.
the voice, and then other times it might just be, if you're watching somebody act on screen, their facial expressions and
Yeah.
through the motion. So I can
Absolutely.
imagine, how much you can feel that on the other side. You
Mm.
know, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Now, roles like KO or Macaron
Mm.
require balancing humanity with non-human elements.
Mm.
What's your approach to making those characters feel real and grounded?
Well, yeah. So yeah, KO. I mean, he's a robot,
Mhm.
and it's interesting because he was when I first auditioned for him, and I saw the sides coming. I was like, I'm gonna have to do a robot voice for this guy. But then, and I had recorded a first pass that was very much like a robot. I am, that type of thing. And then I came back to it and I was like, everybody and their mama's gonna do that. Like everybody. They're gonna see the robot and they're gonna go for
The robotic
the
voice.
robotic voice, the Siri
Yeah.
type voice. And I said, what if I just came and put a little bit of some humanity into this robot and made him more than just, cold frame.
Mhm.
And what I did to tap into that was more so just I was myself, but just a military amped up sound where everything kind of sounded like it was big and authoritative. And I was, kind of a brother. And so you knew it was a brother behind that shield, behind those metal frames, And so you knew it was there, but he also had this kind of authoritative sound that made him sound like he's kind of like a Terminator or some sort of like very, there was a mixture of robotic and human
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Some aggression.
Aggression, yeah. And he is a robot that loves war. He thrives in war. And
Mhm.
so when I was like, I ain't gonna get this. Because I felt like I was also too far away from what they were looking for from the series stuff. I was like,
But that's
but
exactly what they needed. Exactly.
yes,
Yeah.
I hit send, and a couple weeks later, I got this incredible note from Riot Games and the writers, and I won't share what was up because it was a really sweet note, but ultimately they were just saying how special that audition was for them. It came in, and everybody was kind of like a spark of like, what? What is this? Why
Yeah.
didn't we think of this? Because I don't think they, in their mind, even thought of that being that. I think they
Exactly.
were just trying to because no one really knows. You send an audition as a creator, you send an auditions out, you're kind of like, I have a general idea of what this character is.
Mhm.
But sometimes somebody will throw you a curveball where you're like, oh, that's interesting. I never even thought that would be a thing. I love it. It's unique. It's not like something we've heard 100 times over. Let's go in that direction. So that's kind of how KO came about for me. And then Macaron is he's just kind of a funny like British London type of guy. He's talking like that in Idris Elba type of vibe, and he's kind of always doing that. And so and he was also a lovable kind of a big bro is what I would call him,
Uh-huh.
and I'm a big brother. I have three youngers, so
Okay.
I could tap into that space very, very easily. And I it wasn't hard for me to do that with Macaron, and he didn't have to be super silly or anything like that because the lead, Chai, he's a lot more sillier, and he got to kind of hold off the comedy. But yeah, that wasn't too hard to tap into because it's like it's my experience. And a lot of times, like you'll find a lot of actors, you're like, dang, they play that role really freaking well. And
Right.
that's because there's a little part of them, there's little some truth in how they play that. It's crazy to think about because some people they play like killers and all that kind of stuff. But the little bit of truth
Um,
seeps into that is why they're
yeah.
able to play that so well.
Right. Right. There's a dark side in all of
I'll
us.
tell you. I'm
For
telling
real.
you. Yep.
For real. Now, I know you've done a lot of games
Yeah.
and anime. Um, is there any roles that you have yet to take on? Perhaps, doing things for like Disney or DreamWorks or um,
Yeah.
those types of roles, that have you been looking towards taking on voice acting or voice roles in those spaces?
Man, I now that I've done something for um Marvel, like with Marvel Rivals and playing Blade,
Right.
I
Yes.
would love to voice him in an animated series, like or some sort of okay, this is gonna be there's a kid show, it's an Iron Man kid show. It's like it's on Disney Junior and stuff. I was like, I would love to be a Blade in a Disney Junior show. I don't know why. It's
Listen.
just one of those things that's like millions of kids watch these shows and they're very popular amongst school kids, and they also like I have a niece who runs around saying I'm Sonic, and she just runs around, or I'm Iron Man, or I'm Spider-Man, and she's so cute. And I'm like, man, I would love to be a part of a kids superhero show where I could have my niece run around and say I'm Uncle Gabe,
Yeah.
voicing I'm Blade today or whatever. So that's a little something for me. Playing a Marvel character on screen would be animated in animated form would be dope.
Yeah. Yeah. Being part of the Marvel universe and all of that, that would be,
Yes.
yeah, crazy.
Yeah,
Crazy.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so out of everything that you've done, what would you, I know you're constantly working. You have a lot on your plate. Let me ask you this before I get to that.
Yeah.
Where you're at currently right now, is this your setup all the time when you're doing all of your recordings, or sometimes do they send you to a studio to record?
Yeah, so I think about 80 to 75% of the time I'm recording in the studio.
Hmm.
It's actually a temporary studio. Downstairs, I'm working on I'm a redesign of my home studio, but
Okay.
yeah, about 75% of the time I'm working here. The other
Hmm.
percentage of it, like I'm going to the studio to record. Especially when I go for Marvel Rivals, that stuff, they want me to be in studio in LA.
Right.
Or if I'm doing other like I just got done doing something for like a Disney property, and they were very adamant about recording that stuff in a studio, just because it's more consistent. Everybody has different. Not all studio home studios are created equal,
Hmm.
and they can kind of do quality control in a home in a contracted studio. So it's about 75% of the time I'm here, and then the other I'm in a studio.
Hmm. Now, as far as the Marvel Rivals is concerned, can you talk a little bit about that project
Yeah.
for a couple minutes?
Yeah. Marvel Rivals. Well, it is a chaos of a game in the sense of like they've got every Marvel character you can think of in
Hmm.
the game, and they're just fighting each other left and right. It is just like a drag fest of just like of FPS first person shooter, and it is a blast. I've been able to play so much of it, and really like besides me being an actor in the game, it's been just fun to play as Blade, and carrying on that mantle. As of right now, from what I understand, Mahershala Ali is still on board too.
Still on board.
We can only hope to play Blade, but to carry on the mantle of the Blade legacy in this way, where people are playing hours on end. I think it hits different because with a movie, you watch a movie and then you're pretty much done with it, or you'll go back to it every once in a while to watch it. But with video games, it
Hmm.
sticks with you because you're playing hours on end, and it's a different game. It's no games are the same. It's so there's
Right.
so many variables. You're playing with your friends and you're hearing these voice lines over and over and over and over again, and it's almost I mean there are people who will reach out to me and they'll tell me my voice lines, and I'm like, I don't even remember me recording that, brother. I don't know what line is that, and it's to show how impactful it is to folks who love the game, and
Yeah.
so yeah, Marvel Rivals and the team at NetEase are responsible for an incredible feat. It was, I think, top charts for several months, and they've been able to do something that's really special. And every month they're releasing new characters. I mean, they just released Daredevil, they released a Gambit, Rogue, and it's just like they're assembling some of these, and they also have team ups as well. So if whatever
Wow.
you see in the comics, they try to mirror that in
Hmm.
the game as well. So that's what makes it so exciting and so
Right.
accessible, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to get that game for myself, man.
Yeah. I think it's free to play. on PC, PlayStation,
Oh,
or
okay.
whatever. Yeah,
I'm. It's been a minute since I played video games, but it definitely sounds interesting for sure.
yeah.
Um, and being that you're part of, Marvel Rivals, I'm surprised they don't use you guys for the same thing, like with the Marvel Zombies.
Oh, yeah. For the social, yeah.
Yeah.
It's hit or miss. Sometimes they do. It depends
Mm.
on, like, if you're a legacy, like, person that you've been doing the voice of that character for like, I
A
guess one
while.
person, yeah, a while. Like, one person I know that they use a lot is Yuri Lowenthal. He
Mhm,
is the voice of Spider-Man
mhm.
in the games, and he does the animated series, and he does a lot, like, so they use him a lot in all the other things. But sometimes it's just a matter of, like, the MCU is a huge thing, and it's pretty
Right.
much what all other games hang upon, and so they always try to find folks who can voice match the on-screen actors. Or Marvel Rivals case, they kind of go away from that. They just hire brand new actors to come
Right.
in and give their own take to it,
Yeah, like
which
a
I
different
think
universe
a
almost.
different universe, exactly, different universe. And I think in that case, it's good because it kind of continues the character on versus having one person monopolize it.
Right. And it also gives you opportunity, gives other people opportunities as well. Um,
Absolutely,
now, I'll ask, what's next for you?
yeah. Um, Well, it is. There's a lot of things that are next that are under NDA that I'm excited about, and that's the nature of the business. It's like, and it's like, I guess it's different from on-screen actors because it feels like on-screen actors can always talk about all the films that, because they got the deadline article comes out, they're working on this movie and this is coming up next or whatever. And
Mhm.
voice actors, it's a little bit more tight-lipped. It's a lot more tight-lipped, and so there's a lot of fun projects that I'm a part of right now that I cannot wait over the next couple of years that are going to be releasing it. A
Nice.
lot more, a lot of animation stuff, a lot of more video games, stepping into that space even more. But right now, I mean, I'm with my group King's Return, and we're about to hop into a tour, a
Mm.
holiday tour. We're a cappella vocal group, and we've had the honor of being able to play with folks like Stevie Wonder.
Wow.
Have folks like India Ari share our post, Cynthia Revo, a lot of great artists and stuff. So leaning more into my group, and we're creating
Mhm.
great music, and we have an R&B project coming out next year, is tackling all the R&B hits and reviving some of the stuff that these kids don't know about, man. Oh, and so we're trying to do it in acapella form. So that's a thing. I'm currently voicing the movie trailers for Zootopia 2 for Disney that
Oh,
comes out
wow.
for the Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I'm looking
They
forward to that.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. Do a lot of that, and then also I'm also voicing the trailers for the Avatar movie that'll be in December. Avatar, Fire and Ash. So a lot
Nice.
of fun things ahead, and it's always something. The thing about this business is, like, you're doing something different every week, and the moment you get done with the session, you're like, okay, this was so much fun, and then what else do I get to play in, what else do I get to do? And it's exciting, oh, one more thing. I actually I'm the voice of NFL Today on CBS every Sunday morning, so if you check it out, you'll hear me next time on the NFL Today, and I'm doing a lot of that stuff. So
Wow. Okay.
fun things.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna be listening to everything
Love
and
it.
see if I can pick out your voice in a lot of stuff, man. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you about King's Return.
Yeah, yeah.
But you mentioned, you have a tour coming up.
Mhm,
Primarily, a lot of what I talk about is on the acting side and the film space.
mhm.
But please, let the folks know a little bit about your group and everything that you are a part of.
Yeah, so we're a four-part a cappella group. We kind of got our start during the pandemic. We would record videos in our stairwell,
Mhm.
and we just record all sorts of music. I mean, anything from like R&B, classical, jazz. It's just we're on YouTube. You can check us out, Official King's Return, and
Mhm.
we have all sorts of things on there. And so we love music, and we put out a video of us doing Luther Vandross is so amazing, and we put this legendary
Right.
artist, and we got a call from Stevie Wonder's daughter that she was like, hey, listen, Stevie would like to talk to you guys. He just saw your video and he was like, he's blown
Wow.
away by your sound. Now, first of all,
Right.
you got the Mr. Seventh Wonder of the World. Like, what are we talking about? So he reached out and we got on FaceTime together,
That's
and
great.
we talked. We talked, and we came to the studio. He flew us out to the studio.
Wow.
We recorded with him on his projects and stuff that he's got coming up, and it was just an amazing time. And
Mm,
from there, we've been just kind of rocking and rolling and doing a lot of we do a lot of homage medleys for artists, and like Lauryn Hill, we did a medley of her entire catalog. She saw it and shared it. We did
yeah.
it for like I said, India Re. We did it for just a bunch of other art. David Foster, we got a chance to work with him as well for the holidays a couple years ago, and so it's just all sorts of things that we're doing. We're just kind of like, how did we get here? But if you're interested in listening to us, we're
Absolutely.
online and everything, and you could just on Spotify. We have a holiday album, We Four Kings, that's out now. That can
Okay.
help usher in the holiday spirit.
Absolutely, man. And where can do you have a website? Where can folks find the music as well?
Yeah. You can kingsreturnmusic.com. We're on there, and you can check us out on Spotify. Just type in Kings Return, you'll see us. And YouTube the same way. Kings Return, Instagram,
Nice.
Kings Return. And we're
Nice.
we're all on there.
Yeah. So guys, run them numbers up, man. Run them numbers
Yeah.
up. Well, that's good, man, Gabe. I like to give my guests the final word, whether that be a piece of advice that either you were given or you like to pass down, a quote that you like to live by, or words of encouragement. You can say one of the three, or you can say all three. It's up to you.
Oof. I will say a quote that I kind of live by, and that is greater can't come until lesser leaves. And it's something that I've had to realize in life. As you move on, you kind of there's a lot of weight on you, and you trying to really fly those wings, spread those wings and fly. But that weight needs to get shaved off sometimes, and sometimes it's people, sometimes it's certain work, sometimes it's it could be anything. Sometimes it's maybe even stuff like drugs or whatever that's holding you down, that's holding you back.
Right.
And in order for that greater to come that you've been dreaming about, the greatness that you've been dreaming about, what you want to become, what you want to create, all of that, in order for that to become realized, that lesser stuff needs to leave. And so I live by that. And anytime I feel stagnant, I got to think, okay, so what needs to, do I need to turn off my phone for a little bit? Do I need to get off of social media for a bit and just kind of dial in? We're coming at the end of the year here. Do I need to just kind of these next couple months really dial in to get my next year flying, straight,
Right. Right.
and sometimes you got to do that. Sometimes you got to do that. Some things masquerade as if they are helping, and a lot of times they're not. And so keeping a pulse on that is so important. So that's what I would leave you with. Greater can come until lesser leaves. You tattoo that on your sleeve and you'll be all right.
Yeah. I love that quote, man. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Gabe, it was a pleasure having you. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you diving in and talking a lot about voice acting and what it takes to be a voice actor, and also mentioning your music with King's Return.
Yes,
And
sir.
I wish you much success, even though you already
Thank
have
you.
much success. There's
Oh,
going to be a lot more to come. Uh, Probably the next time I talk to you, you're going to have 200 credits to your name,
hopefully
and
it'll take 10 years.
I'll definitely be listening out for your voice on TV and video games and
Sir,
music everywhere, man. That's Gabe Kunda, everybody.
it's an honor. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.